Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee Pot Sports and every man's analysis on sports news and trends. I know I haven't been on the channel in a little bit, but I'm starting my senior year of college, so had to get all my schedules set. But now that I've got those schedules squared away, I can spend a little more time on the channel, and I've got some great stuff in the works. So, today we have a very good video coming up. We'll be ranking all 32 NFL starting quarterbacks for the upcoming season. And so without much further ado, let's hop into the tiers. At the top is elite. It's pretty self-explanatory, the best of the best. Below that we have great quarterbacks who probably won't win an MVP but are still very, very good. Below that we have average quarterbacks who can make some big throws, know their offenses very well, but probably aren't going to be leading teams to glory all by themselves. Below that we have subpar / need to prove more. Subpar quarterbacks would be those who the teams really should be looking to upgrade, and needs to prove more is pretty self-explanatory. The quarterbacks, spoiler alert, like Trevor Lawrence, who probably are going to be really good down the road, but as of right now we still need more to prove from them. And below that we have backup and best, and there are only 3 quarterbacks in this tier. These are quarterbacks who should not have a starting job in the NFL. At 32, I had a bit of an internal debate on who I should put here, but ultimately it has to be the guy that is actually not starting, and Drew Lock will be a placeholder for Geno Smith. That was the worst quarterback battle in camp I've ever seen. Neither of them are very good, and Geno Smith, he can get it done as a backup, but I cannot fathom a team starting him for 17 games and being any good. He really is better as a clipboard holder. And speaking of clipboard holders, here's someone who's going to be one in the next 2 years of Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I try not to make a habit of saying that professional athletes are scrubs or bums or something, because I could never do the things that they do, but Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, is a certified scrub. I cannot believe that the Giants picked him so high, and he will be a backup in the next year, as he deserves to be. And at number 30, I hate having to put him so low because I actually really like Marcus Mariota, but at this point in his career, it's hard to see him actually starting. He could prove me wrong in Atlanta, and I would love to see that, but he really is a placeholder for Desmond Ridder or Bryce Young or whoever Atlanta wants to go forward with at quarterback. He's not the long-term solution. Now we're going to move into the category of subpar or more approved, and at number 29 as of right now, I have to say that it's Justin Fields. Fields had a really shaky rookie season, and it doesn't look like he's going to make much improvement this year. His weapons aren't very good, his offensive line is going to get him murdered, and I just don't see him progressing very well in this system right now. At 28, just a hair above Fields, I'm going to put Zach Wilson. Honestly, they could be interchangeable, but I have a lot more respect for Zach Wilson, especially after a certain story that came out a few months ago. He's got that dog in him, no one can deny that.
For about 15 minutes last night, the only thing I cared about was what Zach Wilson's mom's best friend looked like. What?
But he's in a very similar situation to Fields. He is in a really shaky situation. I have more faith in Robert Saleh as a coach. That may just be my 49ers biases showing, but I think Zach Wilson still needs to show a lot more, and he's not poised to have a great season this year either. At 27, I'm going to go Mitchell Trubisky, and we're not entirely sure if Mitch is going to start this year. It could be Kenny Pickett. At time of recording, Mike Tomlin hasn't even made that decision, which doesn't give me a lot of confidence in the Steelers right now because, man, John Madden once said, if you have 2 quarterbacks, then you don't have any. And that's so true. But Mitchell Trubisky, I think, got just kind of screwed over by Matt Nagy and his system. I think that if Trubisky is given the start, he can actually show quite a lot of promise. But I have to see it to believe it truly, because Trubisky did look very shaky in his time in Chicago. At 26, I hate having to put him so low, but I just kind of have to right now, and it's Trey Lance. Trey is someone who's only started 3 games in the NFL so far, and he does have the starting job in San Francisco, and he has a great supporting cast around him. He just really needs to improve his accuracy and prove that he can compete at the NFL level, and I think he can, but I think this year is going to be pretty rough for him. I think that a lot of people in San Francisco are going to be disappointed in Trey in year 1. I think that by year 3 of him starting, he's going to be in the elite category, me personally, but as of right now, I just have to be a bit more realistic. So Trey Lance is in a great spot right here at 26. And at 25, I'm going to put the aforementioned Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is actually quite good. As we all knew when we watched him at Clemson, he was generational, and none of the draft schmucks would ever shut up about how much of a generational talent he was. The Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning comparisons were flying, and then he went and stunk up the field in Jacksonville his rookie year, and I give him a lot more slack for that because Urban Meyer was such a horrendous head coach. I can't really place a lot of that blame on Trevor Lawrence, and he does have some tools that he can use to succeed next year, and with a new head coach he can be very good, but again, with these young quarterbacks, I need to see it to believe it. And at 24, this is a really interesting category for me, because I think, there he is, that Davis Mills at 24 is not too far-fetched. He's proven a little more than some of the other rookie quarterbacks. I think that last year he was the second best rookie quarterback, and another year in this system under Lovie Smith, it's going to be really interesting to see how well he progresses. He's had a great camp, and Brandon Cooks is still going to be a great weapon for him, and I think Davis Mills has all the fundamentals to be a solid starting quarterback going forward in the NFL. Now we're sort of getting into the average category, and at 23, I'm going to put Jameis Winston. I know people love to clown on Jameis because he's thrown a lot of interceptions in his career and he's done some questionable things off the field, but in 2021, before he got hurt, Jameis Winston was looking very good for the Saints, and I think he can be a quality starter in 2022. Next up, at 22nd, we have Carson Wentz, and Carson has had an interesting NFL career. This is his 3rd team in 3 years, and Washington is not a great environment to play in. You have a terrible owner, a terrible field, and some questionable pieces on offense and defense, but I think Carson is still quite good. He just needs to improve his field IQ and just improve his accuracy. I think that Carson Wentz has the tools to be a very good quarterback, and we saw that in 2017 and 2018, but I think at this point in his career and on the team he's on, he's just not in a real good position to succeed. And at 21, I'm going to go Baker Mayfield. Baker is in an interesting predicament. He got traded to Carolina and all the drama off the field. And I think Baker is really one of your quintessential average quarterbacks. I don't think that he's bad. I don't think that he should be a backup anytime soon. But he's really, in my opinion, unlocked most of the potential he has. I don't see his ceiling being very high up from here, so I really can't in good conscience put him anywhere else. I am interested to see how well he does in Carolina, but as of right now, I just don't have a ton of confidence in Baker Mayfield. And at 20, we have got good old Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff gets a lot of hate, especially from his time in Los Angeles, and now that he got banished to Detroit, Kentucky Fried Movie style, I don't think that Jared Goff gets a lot of respect, but I think he's another one of those quality starters that can win you several games. I know Detroit wasn't very good last year, but I think Jared Goff is going to do very well in year 2 under Dan Campbell, and I think that he can still be an effective starter in the NFL. He just needs to clean up his turnover ratio, and under that offensive line that's very underrated, I think that he is going to be able to clean it up because he'll have more time in the pocket. And at number 19, I'm going to put Tua. I know people love to hate on Tua because his arm strength isn't all the way there and he makes a few mistakes sometimes, but I think Tua is very good at managing the game. He's proven that he can play. He's got starts under his belt now, and I think in year 3, especially with Tyreek Hill at his side, Tua is really going to establish himself as someone who shouldn't be on this chopping block that he's been on for 2 years. I'm really excited to see Tua hopefully take a next step in year 3. And at number 18, I'm going to go Mac Jones, who was the best rookie quarterback last year. Call it Bill Belichick's system, call it the new weapons around him, but Mac is an incredibly effective game manager. He doesn't have great arm strength. I know people love to give Tua crap for that, but you're not ready to talk about Mac Jones and the fact that he can't uncork the deep ball as well as some in the NFL. But I'm excited to see Mac Jones take another step. I'm excited to see how the Patriots do. There could be some issues on offense with the weapons not being the greatest in his conference or even division, but I'm excited to see Mac Jones play in year 2. And at number 17, fittingly that he also wears 17 on the field, is Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill spent a lot of time in Miami really underperforming, but ever since he's been in Tennessee, he's been very good. But last year we really started to see some chinks in the armor. He couldn't get the ball downfield as well. He's very slow. He doesn't really have any legs outside of the pocket. And Tannehill is getting a little bit older and getting a little bit more exposed. I'm not comfortable putting him in the top 16. I think he's squarely your average quarterback. And at 16, essentially the exact opposite of Ryan Tannehill in play style, I'm going to put Jalen Hurts. I really am high on Jalen Hurts. He has also been sort of on this chopping block the last 2 years. He hasn't been a secure starter, but in year 3, I'm really excited to see how he does in the second year of Sirianni's offense. He's got great wheels. He's one of the best running quarterbacks in the league. His weapons this year are going to help him out a lot. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith is one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL. And I'm really excited to see Jalen Hurts probably win his division by uncorking deep throws and running out of the pocket. He could stand to improve his accuracy, but I think that he really can clean that up this year. You know, it's funny, in between shots, I realized that this right here, it's saying GG, which is kind of funny. I tried to clean it up, but every time I want to record on my computer, I have to press Windows and G at the same time. And apparently every time I've missed, or every time I've done it, or whatever is the case, it's just typing G in that little area right there. So I think I'm gonna just fix that. See, I'm new at this. I need to still figure all this out. But anyway, where were we? So number 15, we're now in the top half of starting quarterbacks. And at 15, I've got to put Matty Ice, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is a long way removed from his MVP season. That was, 6 years ago now? And he's certainly taken a few steps back. He's gotten much older. He's in his late 30s. He's not aging as gracefully as a Rodgers or a Brady. But he still can sling the ball. He's very accurate. He's got great field IQ. And on the Colts, I think he's in a system where he really can thrive. He's not a Pro Bowl caliber anymore, but he's still a very quality starter who can get you plenty of wins on his own. So, at 14, I'm going to go Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins is a little bit controversial just because he doesn't have a great record in big games and things like that, but he can absolutely sling the ball, and he's still pretty accurate, doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. I like Kirk Cousins a lot. I think that at the top of the echelons right now, though, there's just too much competition. He's sort of on the outs. I would love to see him perform in these big games a little bit better. I would love to see him rise to the moments. And until then, I can't confidently put him anywhere in the top 12. And at number 13, and this is going to be the last of the average category because we're trying to do a little bit of a statistical average, is Kyler Murray. Now hear me out. Kyler Murray got paid handsomely this offseason, and in some ways he deserved it because that's the going quarterback rate. He's very good, but he needs to show me quite a lot more before I can call him some elite quarterback. He makes some pretty bad decisions on the field. He tries to run more often than he needs to instead of staying in the pocket and just moving around finding the open receiver. His playoff record, well, 0-1, which doesn't tell the full story. He was just hot garbage in his only playoff start, and I need to see more out of Kyler before I can confidently put him any higher. So, as of right now, 13 is a good place for him. And now I'm going to get into the quarterbacks that I would consider great. And at number 12, I'm going to start this category off with Derek Carr. Derek Carr has been quietly one of the better quarterbacks in the league for the last couple of years. I don't think he gets the credit that he always deserves. He's incredibly accurate. He makes very smart decisions most of the time. Let's not forget that wild card game last year with that one-headed interception. But ultimately, Derek Carr is not only just a great game manager, but he plays in that style, and he can uncork it when he needs to, and he has some underrated wheels when he needs to get out of the pocket. With Davante Adams at his side now, I think Derek Carr is going to have one of his best seasons. And so, at number 11, we're going to go with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has gotten a nickname, he's gotten a funny little nickname over the last year or so of the Black Kirk Cousins, which I find pretty funny. It does ring a little bit true in the sense that Dak kind of underperforms in a lot of bigger games, especially in the wild card game against the 49ers, which made me very happy. But Dak Prescott is incredibly talented. He can uncork it when he needs to. He makes smart decisions. He has good receivers that he can uncork to, and I'm really happy to see Dak Prescott continue to grow. I'm glad that he got paid, and as much as I dislike the Cowboys as a whole, I think that Dak Prescott is rightfully among the upper echelons of quarterbacks in the NFL. And at number 10, I hate having to put him so high, but Deshaun Watson, despite how awful that he is of a human being, the fact that he's not in jail right now is still baffling to me, but Deshaun Watson's potential is essentially limitless once he gets used to the Cleveland offense. He has incredible talent. He's really well-rounded. He looked bad in preseason, but that's due to him, learning a new offense on the fly, essentially. And so once he comes back in week 12 or week 13, because they'll be on a bye week, of course, in week 13 they're playing the Texans, his old team, which is very funny. But Deshaun Watson, until further notice, is a top 10 quarterback, and I hate to say it. Number 9, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is one of the more polarizing players in the NFL. You either think he's the second coming of Christ or that he's just a glorified David Montgomery. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think he's a very capable quarterback when he needs to be. He can make decent throws. He has pretty good field IQ, and obviously he's the best running quarterback in the NFL today. Lamar Jackson, he needs to perform a little better in the playoffs and more consistently make the playoffs too would be nice, but Lamar Jackson is somewhere in the middle of the discourse. He's a very capable quarterback who's incredibly talented as a football player, and he's deservedly at number 9 for me. Number 8, a lot of people may think I need to put him higher, but number 8 is Russell Wilson right now.
One more time, Broncos country, let's ride.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride.
He's starting to get a little old for his archetype. He's really a dual threat quarterback who's now in his early 30s, and running ability starts to diminish around that age. I think we're not going to see as much Russell Wilson magic as we were used to seeing in Seattle, but until further notice, he's still incredible as an arm talent. He can still get out of the pocket and move. I just think that running aspect is going to be a little bit diminished, and plus he's learning a new offense right now, so might see a little bit of rust from Russell Wilson this season, but he's still incredibly talented, and there's really no denying it. And now, I want to put him higher. I really, really want to, because I think he is incredible. But Joe Burrow needs a little more time to marinate. He's incredible. I cannot stress enough how talented Joe Burrow is. I just think he needs to improve on field awareness and making sure that he can avoid hits. That's been a bit of a problem for him, and I think his field vision needs to improve just a little bit. In the Super Bowl, we saw how his lack of field vision actually did hurt him. I know Aaron Donald was right in his face on that last 4th down, but he had a receiver wide open on the streak. He could have uncorked to and been the hero of the Super Bowl. I think once he just cleans up these little minute errors, I think Joe Burrow is going to be a top 5 quarterback. But as of right now, I think he needs another year or two to marinate and make sure that he really is all that he's cracked up to be. And now at number 6, I'm going to put Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has a fantastic arm talent, one of the best in the league right now. he just needs to prove a little bit more that he can perform in large situations and that he can avoid mental errors. Right now, Justin Herbert is on the precipice of greatness, but I think in year 3 we will finally realize it. But as of this recording, I need to see just a little bit more. And now we have the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. At number 5, we're going to go with Super Bowl champion Matthew Stafford. That's a very weird thing for me to say, considering on how long he was on a terrible Detroit team that couldn't get a playoff win, but Matthew Stafford is now a Super Bowl champion, and he proved that he wasn't just a stat patter. He was someone who could get the ball downfield in crucial situations and really perform at a high level. I want to put him even higher in the very, very top, but I can't deny the fact that he did throw quite a lot of interceptions last year, and he needs to clean up the mental errors and just the field IQ. Part of that may have been learning a new system, and a very complicated system under Sean McVay, but I think we will see that cleaned up a bit in year 2. I'm not sure if it'll be enough to leapfrog the top 4 quarterbacks right now, but we'll see. At number 4, I'm going to go the ageless wonder, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is 45, one of the oldest players in league history. Usually 45 years old is reserved for like kickers and George Blanda 50 years ago, but Tom Brady is still aging very gracefully, and while probably not quite as good as he was several years ago, that Tampa team has been showing some chinks in the armor, and Tom Brady might be at fault for that. He's still going to be incredibly efficient. He's one of the smartest NFL players in history, and it's pretty clear to see that he's still going to play at an elite level this year. I do think this is his last season. Of course, I've been saying that for the last 6 years now, so we'll see, but Tom Brady, until further notice, is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And we've got the top 3 down here: Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen. I think it's pretty universal that these 3 are top 3 right now. Maybe you could substitute Mahomes for Brady or something like that, or some crazy Chargers fans are going to put Herbert up there. Not yet, sorry. But how am I going to rank these? Well, at number 3 right now, I'm going to put Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes, whoops, sorry. Oh, Brady doesn't want to get out of that one spot. Look at that. I'm going to have to move him. And he was just stubborn with that. But Patrick Mahomes is very good, but I mean, obviously, he's a former MVP, Super Bowl champion. But one thing about Patrick Mahomes is that he needs to read defenses better. His field IQ is not as high as the top 2. I really, really think that Patrick Mahomes, if he just studied NFL defenses for more than he has been, instead of perfecting his craft as an arm talent, which he's already essentially perfected, he just needs to learn to read defenses better so he can avoid things like the AFC Championship game last year with that crucial interception and the limitations that he has. Once he masters that, he should be the best quarterback in the league, and you could even make an argument right now that he's with top 2 or even 1. Patrick Mahomes is an incredible talent, just needs to clean up a few things. At number 2, I am really split, but as of right now, I'm going to put Aaron Rodgers at number 2, just because of the fact that there are 2 things that are going to cause him to be not quite as good as his back-to-back MVP years. He lost one of the best weapons that he's ever had in his career in Davante Adams, and his age is going to start showing as a factor. Aaron Rodgers is pushing 40, and he has not looked quite as good as he's aged as Tom Brady has. Of course, Tom Brady is 7 years older, and of course Aaron Rodgers is still very, very good. It's his back-to-back MVP, but Aaron Rodgers is going to be a lot more limited in the running game. He's famous for being able to escape the pocket on 3rd down, slide for a 1st down, stuff like that. I think that's going to be a lot more diminished this year, and his weapons are just not going to lead him to a lot of success. I don't think that at this point he's going to be able to thread the needle into very tight spaces. He's still going to be very accurate and very smart with the ball, avoid turnovers, but Aaron Rodgers right now is starting to show in age, and I think that right now I can't confidently call him the best quarterback in the league. And that means that Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills out of the University of Wyoming. Go Cowboys. Well, I shouldn't say go Cowboys. I'm a 49ers fan. No one likes the Cowboys. But the Wyoming Cowboys produced Josh Allen. And it's crazy to say that he's the best quarterback in the league. If you had told me that I'd be saying that 3 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. But from what we've seen the last 2 years, the fact that he's got one of the strongest arms in the NFL, the fact that he's developed accuracy and developed a good field IQ, the fact that he's an incredibly underrated runner and can escape the pocket at will and create 20-25 yard chunk plays on the ground, he is the most well-rounded in his prime quarterback in the NFL right now. I fully expect the Bills to not only make but likely win the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen will be the central figure in that. I have him winning MVP. I see him putting up 5,000 yards, another 400 on the ground, and 45 total touchdowns. Josh Allen is the full package, and Sean McDermott deserves a lot of credit for uncorking that potential that has now been fully realized into the most well-rounded quarterback right now. And so, that's our rankings. If you like what you saw, please leave a like and subscribe. It would help me out a ton. I'm going to be producing a lot more content over the next coming weeks now that, as I said previously, my schedules have been figured out, and I'm really excited to see where this channel goes and the creative directions that I've got for it. So, that's all from me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.